the staging area, please. And problems for the 83 of Brian Kearns limping down the front straightaway here in the final lap or so of our second group of warm-ups for Simulate drivers. And really no change in those top two spots. The
driver's going to speed back up. And 33, please go to the scale. 69, 33 to the scales to have your transponder checked.
Slow on the front stretch, going towards 1 and 2. Turn 4, stay low in turn 4.
Checkered is out, and the 5 of Levi Corral, former Late Model Sportsman winner a year ago here at Hagerstown Speedway.
right, drivers, go ahead and speed it up.
Set to do battle. The Derby 30 gets underway tonight. The 33 is Scotty Nelson in Leonardtown, Maryland, as we mentioned, picking up a street stock win at Potomac Speedway last night. They'll be joined by the 59 of Ryan Smith of Asper's, Pennsylvania, and also the 11 of Dylan Rutherford out of Front Royal, Virginia, as we get set for the two-lap time trials here this evening. White flag is out as we get some times in. The 33 of Nelson kicks things off with a 24.160. The 59 of Ryan Smith back to the stripe. 24.383 will be his first lap time. And for the 11 of Dylan Rutherford, he will be at 24.160 as he wraps up lap number 1. Nelson back to the stripe, taking the checkered flag. 24.160. Smith in the 59 also working back to the stripe. 24.136 will put the Asper's PA driver in the number 1 spot. White flag now coming out for the 11 of Rutherford. He'll get number 1. 24.022 here in the early going. Rutherford with 1 lap left to go as group number 2 patiently waits. Driver in the Front Royal, Virginia, making his way off at turn number 3 and 4. Coming back to the stripe, already tops on the board with a 24.022. And Rutherford wraps up his 2-lap time trial. 23.966 for Dylan Rutherford. Good second lap for the Front Royal, Virginia driver. All right, group number 2 about set to go out. The 83 of Brian Kern scheduled to go in this group, but the cross-junction Virginia driver did have some issues during the warm-ups as he's sitting in the trailer. 69 of Deacon Schneider in Hancock, Maryland will lead things off in group number 2 this evening. The 6C of Tony Catlett in Hedgeville, West Virginia. And also joining this group going to be the 97 being powered by Trent Holmes in Maryville, Virginia. Flag about to come out on our second trio of drivers this evening here at the Speedway as the 69 of Schneider comes across. And looks like we are having transponder issues with that car, so no time for that machine. 6C of Tony Catlett back to the stripe, and the 97 coming across the stripe. Trent Holmes, 24.340. That puts Holmes in the number 4 position right now. Tony Catlett, he'll go number 2 on the board, 24.127, and the 97. Trent Holmes back with a 24.513. So on the final lap, the 6C of Tony Catlett wraps things up 24.348. So for the moment, the 11 of Dylan Rutherford holds court up top. 6C of Tony Catlett currently the number 2 spot. All right, our next trio of drivers in simulated action about to make their way out. Trying the top, the 11 Dylan Rutherford right now, who owns that number 1 position. K, Kevin Coons out of Williamsport, Maryland. The 3D of Shane McQuay also out in this one at a Sykesville, Maryland. And the 65, one-time feature winner Dylan Wilson out of Cassville, PA. They'll be the next 3 drivers out in simulate time trials this evening. The 38K of Coons brings it back to the stripe as we get set for time trials of this group. And transponder issues on the 38. The 3D of Shane McQuay back to the stripe as well as the 65 of Wilson. Right now, the only driver of the 3 that is being scored on time right now. Transponder issues for a couple of drivers. McQuay right now 7th on the board. No time right now for the 38K of Kevin Kuntz and the 65 of Dylan Wilson likewise as they come back to the line. And there's Wilson. He goes number 1, 23.919. So everything picked up for him there. So he'll take over the top time. The 11 of Dylan Rutherford now in 2nd. The 6C, Tony Catlett back in 3rd. Ryan Miller in 4th. And the 33 of Scotty Nelson right now in the top 5.
3D of McQuay, you need to go to the scales to be weighed. 3D to the scales.
Instead of the 99K, it looks like we'll have the 03 of Brady Neff out of Hagerstown joining this group. The 99K is out there, I should say. Along with the 88Z of Isaiah Miller, there are the latest 3 drivers. Isaiah Miller now tops on the board at 23.794. Sykes of the 99K was 6th on that first lap. Here comes 03 and Neff back to the stripe. He'll be 9th at 24.355. Sophomore driver Isaiah Miller trying to get himself in the number 1 spot. Sykes puts a 99K, 6th the first lap. 24.164. That will keep hitting 6th. Miller back at 23.913. We'll have him in the number 1 position with 1 driver trying to knock him off in this group. That's the 03 and Neff as he goes back to the stripe. Neff will go 8th at 24.326. So right now, Miller up top. Dylan Wilson, Dylan Rutherford, the 6th. All right, next up, the 4 of Chucky Johnson in the front row of Virginia, making his first appearance of the season here at the Hagerstown Speedway. Also out the 01 of Alan Brannon out of Winchester, Virginia, and the 25 of Jeremy Mills out of Berkeley Springs, West Virginia. And Chucky Johnson gets things going. White flag. Back to the strike for the driver of the 4. He'll go number 2 on the board. 23.873 that time by. The one of Alan Brannon, the Winchester driver. Back to the stripe. Brannon, he'll go 5th. 24.079. And the 25 of Jeremy Mills coming back for lap number 1. And for Mills, that lap is going to be Johnson. Second for the 88 Isaiah Miller. The one of Alan Brannon back to the stripe, trying to move up from the 5th spot. He'll stay 5th, 24.502. 25 of Jeremy Mills making his way back to the stripe. The Berkeley Springs, West Virginia driver. We'll wrap things up here at his Simulate Time Trials as well. Then Crate Late Models for your warm-ups. You can make your way to the staging area. Crate Late Models for your warm-up. Heat races. You can make your way to the staging area. So the 3J of B.J. Jenkins Jr. in a front row, Virginia, and the 81 last weekend's winner and defending champion, Jason Giesemann of Danville, Pennsylvania, will be the next 2 drivers on track. The 3D of B.J. Jenkins back to the stripe, driving the white flag, 24.444 will be his time. Giesemann in the 81 back to the stripe, tops on the board, 23.308 for Jason Giesemann, the one-time winner and last weekend's feature winner and the defending champion in Simulate action. Jenkins back to the stripe, wrapping up lap number 2 of his run, 24.493 for the driver of the 3J. And Giesemann just looking to knock it down a little bit more if he can, 23.627 for the driver of the 81. So a couple of drivers left to go. The 1C of Steve Kent does have 2 laps coming, the driver from Woodsboro, Maryland. And again, we had a transponder issue on the 69. Final 2 drivers on track in our Simulate Time Trials. 81 of J.C. Giesemann, the 88Z of Isaiah Miller. They are the top 2. Here comes the 69 of Schneider. He's got 1 lap. 1C of Steve Kent also on track for the driver to Woodsboro, Maryland. And currently 3rd in our Simulate point standings so far this year. We mentioned in Simulate action so far, no driver has found his way into victory lane as Kent really raise that left wheel off turn 1 and 2. So far, Jason Stoner, Walter Crouch, Dylan Wilson, and Jason Giesemann have been our winners. 24.610, that time for the 69 of Schneider as it goes across the stripe. White flag out for the 1C of Steve Kent, looking to make some damage on the board. He goes number 6 at 24.028. And the laps winding down at the final pair and final lap, 69 of Schneider back to the stripe. And he will be at 24.319. Final lap, final driver Steve Kent raising that left front up again, back to the stripe. He was number 6, he'll go number 3 on the final lap at 23.834. So the 81 of Jason Giesemann, top qualifier tonight in our Simulate 30-30 time trials. Well, ladies and gentlemen, once again, we welcome you here to Hagerstown Speedway. Glad you could join us on this final weekend of the month of June for a good quadruple header of cars. The Simulate 30-30 time trials just wrapping up. Glad to have our crates, our UMP mods, and the pure stocks back with us tonight. Folks, at this time, if you can rise as you're able for our invocation tonight to be followed by our national anthem. Well, ladies and gentlemen, no matter whether they're sitting in the stands or in the infield with you, and no matter what part of the country they're in, our racing family, we are all together. This past week, we had a fan unfortunately succumb to injuries by virtue of a sprint car racing accident that happened out in Jacksonville, Illinois. Ralph Willite unfortunately was killed. There were other people that were injured when a sprint car that was racing on the track got out of control, went into the infield area. It unfortunately made contact with some spectators, and one person was tragically killed in that accident. No matter whether it's in Illinois, California, Maryland, or all the way down in Florida, our racing family sticks together. And tonight we ask for a moment of silence for the memory of Ralph Willite and his family as they're going through this very trying time, being at a racetrack and enjoying what we all love doing so much. We please ask for a moment of silence. Our dear Heavenly Father, we thank you so much for giving us the opportunity to be back together as friends and racing family today as we once again enjoy the sport that we love so much. On our journey tonight, please keep our drivers, our crew members, and all of our officials safe in the duties that they perform. And please help us to have a wonderful night and join each other as friends and family, whether it be in the infield or in the stands. We thank you for the military that serve very proudly throughout this country and throughout the world, that give us the freedom and the luxury to do what we love to do every weekend, many times a weekend, and that's to enjoy each other's company as friends and family at racetracks. We ask you please to look over us tonight as we continue to enjoy the sport we love so dearly, and please guide us carefully on our way back home so we can enjoy the rest of our racing weekend, and that we can return here next weekend to enjoy each other's company once again. In your precious name we pray. Amen. So again, a good mix of drivers in the field in heat race number one. We mentioned the B2, Brian Booz, was behind the wheel of the car last weekend. Mason is doing the driving duties on the outside of row number 3. Jacob Witt, that 33, currently 5th in our crate late model points. The 43 of Jared Edwards picking up a 5th place finish. And unfortunately, it looks like we got some lightning and a little bit of rain again, as Mother Nature wants to be a part of our festivities tonight here.
Go ahead and pull off the track, drivers.
Okay, we're set for heat race number 1. Again, our thanks to everybody involved, our fans for being patient and waiting things out, to Brian Jones, his entire crew for getting the track dialed in, our drivers and crews for being patient as we get set to go for the first qualifying race of the night. 6 laps for our great late models. Heat race number 2 already in the staging area as we get set to go for the first green flag of the night. And the 25 of Braden Anderson grabbing the early lead. 33 of Jacob Witt in the second spot. And down the back straightaway, 77 of Elwood Sword, the other driver in this heat race tonight. As we mentioned, coming in, Tyler Holtz, the point leader with Craig Perrell, Cody Green, Brian Booz, and Jacob Witt in that 33. They are the top 5 in our crate late model points so far this year. Braden Anderson back in the number 10 spot. The 25 won earlier this year with Andy at the helm. And right now, Braden still trying to look for that first victory in crate late model action in 2024 as the leaders work their way off the turn number 4 and put the first lap on the board. Late model heat race number 1, 25 Braden Anderson in control as he brings it back to the stripe. 33 of Jacob Witt in second. 77 of Elwood Sword right now the top 3. That time by as 25 of Braden Anderson clears it. All right, checkered coming down at our first crate late model heat event. Going to be the 25 of Braden Anderson taking the victory. The 33 of Jacob Witt coming home in second spot. They are the top 2 in the crate late model points so far here. 34 points separating those 2 drivers. And is the top 3 in points. They'll battle it out to see how they'll start in tonight's feature event coming just a little bit later on as they get set for the green flag off turn 4. At the stripe, it's going to be horse grabbing in the outside advantage, and he'll grab the lead off at turn number 2. Perrell into second, 14 to Braden in third. And semi-late, heat race number 1. Semi-late drivers, heat race number 1 to the staging area, please. A little trouble for Perrell on the front straightaway in that 34. And that problem will exist over in turn number 1 and 2 as he climbs the banking. Braden got into second spot. And Perrell continues to limp. He may be able to get off track. He drives it down to the bottom off of turn number 2 and heads down the back straightaway with 2 laps complete this time by. To break for Perrell, as we mentioned, number 2 in points. Hoping to get that problem resolved to get back out for his feature event coming up later on tonight. 2 to go when they come back to the stripe. Then semi-late, heat race number 1. Semi-late drivers in heat race number 1 to the staging area, please. Tyler half over the other. That's Cody as he'll come back for the white flag. And it's going to be a point lead. Horse still looking for that first crate win of the season. Coming across for the Heat 2 victory. The 14 to Cody Braden will wind up in second spot. And again, so far this year, we have pace drop goes off into the infield area. We get set for the first of 2 qualifiers in action tonight. Of course, the time dash will be coming up here in just a bit as well. the field heads off at turn number 4. Green flag in the air, the first of 2 Simulate qualifiers. It'll be Brandon grabbing that lead. Ryan Smith trying to hold on to 59, just has to ease up a little bit just to get his car straight. And that allows him 3 and F underneath for the moment. Smith shows the horses down the back straightaway and reclaims the number 2 spot down in turn number 3 and 4 as they come back for the first of 5 circuits. Going to be Brandon in the 01. Couple of car lengths advantage. Smith now gathering himself back up. Better line that time off of 1 and 2. He's a few car lengths back in second. Nev a little bit of the shade. Gathers it back in, and he's a distant third. With the 3J of B.J. Jenkins, followed by the 25. Jeremy Bowles, the top 5. Again, race number 2 for Simulate. Staging area, please. Smith draws a little more momentum and closes that gap up on Brandon just a little bit more, down to a few car lengths as they work back into turn number 3 and 4. And Smith now continuing to shadow gear 1 of Brandon off of that second turn, down a couple car lengths, slips up a little bit. Brandon running a better line off that second turn, so that opens that gap back up just a little bit. White flag will be in the air here in qualifier number 1 for the Simulates. Running low to middle through turn number 1 and 2. Likewise for the 59 of Ryan Smith. The 03 of Brady Neff, good recovery. He lost quite a bit of ground to the top 2 drivers. He has recovered good. He has closed the gap up on Smith. Still about 5 or 6 car lengths with a white flag coming out this time by. Going to be Brandon, the leader, as he enters the final lap of this 5-lap qualifier. Again, Simulates for heat race number 2. You need to be at the staging area. Stacked up down the back straightaway. Tony Catlett in that 6C, the 99K of Cody Seitz. 69 Deacon Schneider, 38K of Kevin Kuntz as we get set to go in our second and final qualifier for Simulates. And 97 Trent Holmes, actually. We mentioned Cody Seitz, but Cody not with us. Trent takes the lead off of turn number 2. Going to be Catlett in the second spot, Schneider third, and Kuntz in the number 4 spot. Left in the books, and Trent Holmes in control right now. Started down low, drifted up high a little bit, but still has about a 5-car length advantage over Catlett. Schneider a couple of car lengths back in third, and in Kevin Kuntz holding on to the number 4 spot. 2 laps complete this time by. Catlett runs a little bit different line that time off of turn number 1 and 2. That closes Schneider in the 69 up to a couple of car lengths gap between second and third. Leaders will be looking at the 2 to go sign this time by. Now, final circuit in control. The driver out of Berryville, Virginia, started on the outside of road number 1. About a quarter of a straightaway lead down the backstretch. Catlett trying to shake the 69 of Schneider. Only a couple of car lengths separation there as they work it back into 3 and 4 for the final time. Checkered is out, and Trent Holmes of the 97 taking qualifier number 2 in Simulate action tonight. 6C of Tony Catlett will wind up in second. 69 of Deacon Schneider third. And the 38K of Kevin Kuntz will round out the order. struggle head in this time. 5 laps over the distance in our UMP Mod qualifier. Bookwalter and Chesmer on the front row. Once again, Pappas in the 2P, the blue car on the inside. Alongside him, the 2 of Brandon English. And the 83 of Ed Vogel rounding out the field as we get set to go green. Well, Chesmer quickly shot out from the outside, and he puts that 747, the number 1 spot. And trying to pull away. Point leader right now, still looking for his first modified victory of the year. Going to be Bookwalter in second. Pappas trying to get to the inside. That 2P machine of the 2 of Brandon English. Liking this track very much. Remains in second spot as the leaders head down the back straightaway. Well, white flag in the air, and Chesmer's got the 747 really hooked up. In just 4 circuits, he's finding himself the back end of the field tonight in heat race action. 83E of Ed Vogel not far away from him as the checkered flag will be coming out this time by. And point leader coming away with the heat race victory in UMP Mod action. Jimmy Chesmer, the 747, collecting a very impressive win. The H2O of Rich Bookwalter, the pole sitter tonight. And the UMP Mods will come on in second. Pappas, English, and Vogel will make up the top 5 at our UMP Mod qualifier. James Spearman, matter of fact, every car in this 7 is very strong. Top runners in our pure stock class. 2 more groups of pure stocks to go in their qualifiers as they're lined up on the infield area. We get set for qualifier number 1. 5 laps, again the leading distance. And Reed will grab that early advantage down into turn number 1 and 2. Ekton trying to get down to the bottom side. The 57 shadowing him for the moment. Taking a peek down to the bottom side. Spielman back there in 3rd. Yonker in 4th. Sumption in the number 30. Starting on the outside of row number 4. Quickly moves up a couple of spots into 5th as they get set for lap number 1. Tight top 2. Only a car length or so separation as Reed trying to edge away from Ekton. He's got about 6 or 7 car lengths on Spielman. And that's where the long jam happens. 31 of Yonker's right there. Sumption in the 30. He's liking this track right now. Pulls to the outside of Yonker, battling for the number 4 position with a 71 of Shank, the top 5, with 2 of 5 laps in heat race number 1 done. Ekton staying well within striking distance of that 8 of Keith Reed, only a few car lengths separation. Spielman still feeling the heat. Going to be Sumption grabbing that spot from Yonker moments ago to the outside. He takes over 4th, side by side between Safel and Shank, a little bit further back. That'll be for the number 6 spot. 2 to go, that time by qualifier number 1. And Sumption not done yet as he pulls off at turn number 2, trying to see if he can get to the inside of Spielman. Not to be for the moment. Yonker right there, very tight 3rd, 4th, and 5th. White flag, meanwhile in the air for Keith Reed. 2nd, 3rd, and 4th back to the stripe. Single final. Just 3 car lengths back. It'll be the 42 of Andrew Safel back in 6th. 71 of Carter Shank 7th. 20. And again, Sumption the inside is can't make it work. Checker meanwhile off turn 4. Keith Reed checking in for another Pure Stock Heat Race win. 57 to William Beckton Jr. will come home in second spot. Bauer back to the line for third. Give it to Spielman over Assumption with the 31 of Nathaniel Yonker rounding out the top five. Heading off to the infield area. 6 drivers set to do battle in tonight's second 5-lap qualifier for the Pure Stocks. In the air tonight in heat race number 2 as the leaders make their way back, and quickly going to be Fogel from that outside of row number 1, grabbing that early lead. Going to be Reed in the 8R in second spot, 12 to David Thompson third. 67, you posted a Recton dropping back into fourth with Crook rounding out the top 5 here on the first circuit. Side by side, back for the number 4 position. Cook to the inside of Ecton, trying to move up one more notch in the order. And he'll get that spot off of turn number 2. Bosley in the 17, also to the inside of Ecton, down the back straightaway. Trying to collect the top 5 run here early as we come back for lap 2. All the Fogel right now. Cook not done. The driver of the 64 started on the inside, row number 3 scheduled, but he is working over the 12 of David Thompson pretty good. They made slight contact at that 1-2 turn area, and they are glued together down the back straightaway. Ecton has reclaimed the number 5 spot. Bosley in 6 with 2 laps to go for the 88 of Nick Fogel. Blake Reed having a very good season. He did have a car very well earlier this season. Had some damage done to it by virtue of an incident, and trying to get himself back on track solidly in that number 2 spot as the white flag comes out for Fogel this time by. Bosley diving down to the inside of Ecton as they still battle for that number 5 position. That's coming off a 4. Meanwhile, off a 2, Fogel rides lonesome in the 88 machine. The Myersville, Maryland driver well in control. Qualifier number 2 for Pure Stocks. Cook got Thompson number to go with the 64. The third, and Fogel taking heat race number 2 in Pure Stock action tonight. 8R Blake Reed coming off of turn number 4. He'll come home in the number 2 spot. So, come good running in that second heat race as he earns his way by a couple of drivers and gets himself third. 12 to David Thompson, and the 67 to William Beckton Sr. make up the top 5. All right, green flag out in Pure Stock qualifier number 3 as the field comes back across the stripe. Going to be Hutton and Fuller side by side. Beavers in the 62 right there. They kind of fall into single file formation. In turn 1 and 2, Hutton will be that leader. Fuller falls into second. Beavers right behind him in third, with Boyer and Fisher the top 5. Well, Hutton opened up a good advantage. 18 is in second by a couple of car lengths over the 62 of Beavers. Another car length back to Boyer, 2 more back to Fisher as we get set for lap number 2 of tonight's third Pure Stock qualifier. And, of course, Mother Nature trying to get back into action here with 2 to go. And they get the white flag this time by, trying to shorten this thing up and get this qualifying race in for the Pure Stock drivers. Hutton back across the stripe. Going to be the 19 to follow in second. Boyer now third, Beavers fourth, Fisher in fifth as they're trying to negotiate one final lap here in the Pure Stock qualifying event. that's the checkout for tonight's event. The 06 of Christopher Hutton will be credited with the pure stock heat race number 3 win. The 19 of Mike Fuller will get second. 62. Dylan Beavers will wind up in third. So, pretty much done for the night. The Simulate Dash was scheduled to be next, and then we were set for our featured activity. But once again, some rain and persistent rain showers in the area have kind of thwarted the efforts once again. And kind of thrashing up here to figure out what our course of action is going to be moving forward. Not just tonight, but in the future for our racers as they just got their qualifying in tonight. Once again, before we make those announcements and get everything straight, we do appreciate everybody's patience here tonight. It's very tough to go through what we've gone through for everybody, not just the fans, track operators, the race directors, the folks that working the track, the driver, everybody. It's just not easy, and we're all in the same boat together. We don't each other, trust me. We try to make the best of it, and we certainly appreciate all your efforts in being patient and trying to help us see our way through at least these qualifying events here tonight. And we'll give you an update on the status of the balance of our program here in just a moment.